Richard Schwartz returning to the program today. Richard is president of Jewish Vegetarians of North America, known for his book, Judaism and Vegetarianism. He also has a new book out, Who Stole My Religion? Revitalizing Judaism and Applying Jewish Values to Help Heal Our Imperiled Planet. Welcome again to Go Vegan Radio with Bob Linden. Richard, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. Great to be on. Thanks for this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be with you here today. It seems like Go Vegan Radio is here to try to help save the world. And when you ask us to help you revitalize an ancient Jewish holiday, how can I refuse, especially when it relates to compassion for animals? So you were very anxious to come on the show and share some information and thoughts with us. So what's going on, Richard?
Okay, yeah, there's something very new, very exciting. It has the possibility of being a game changer. We're trying to take a Jewish holiday that's over 2,000 years old. It's been dead for many years. It was initially a holiday related to sacrifices, and thankfully we don't have the sacrifices today. And because the temple was destroyed, no more sacrifices. But now we want to restore that holiday, transform it into one that's still related to animals, but to show Judaism's very powerful teachings about compassion for animals and to show how far the realities today are. As so many of your programs have shown, how terribly animals are treated on factory farms, etc. And this is very important because, as I say, Judaism has the powerful teachings, but they're being ignored to a large extent. So we want to challenge the establishment and say, let's put these values into practice. How can we have such beautiful teachings and yet so many Jews eating meat, so many barbecues, etc. Every wedding you go to, every bar mitzvah, meat is flowing. And it's so essential, not only is it an important individual choice, but because, as you well know, there's an epidemic of disease now in the Jewish community and other communities. The world is heading, unfortunately, to a climate catastrophe. We're facing increasing food, water, and energy shortages. So we want to bring out this holiday and as a challenge to rabbis to take a stand and say we just can't continue this way. We have to make major, major changes so we avert the disasters that the world is heading toward.
Just the title of your book, Who Stole My Religion, indicates that Judaism has gone astray. People don't realize that really the first commandment is to be vegan, isn't it?
Well, right. The very first chapter of the book of Genesis, it's in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. God's first dietary regimen was strictly vegan, no animal foods at all. And
so no meat is kosher. This is all religion gone astray that we could call meat kosher.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'm saying no meat can really be kosher. We've really gone astray in considering meat to be kosher when Genesis book 1, verse 29 says, Behold, I have given you every plant bearing seed, every tree with fruit that has seed in it. This will be your food. And you go astray, and you have all the disease, you have the environmental devastation. So there's really no kosher meat.
Well, there's a couple of points on that. Number one, not only at the beginning, that Genesis 1:29, but at the end, in effect, the ideal time that Jews yearn for, the Messianic period, that will again be vegan, according to the first chief rabbi of Free State Israel, Rabbi Abraham Isaac Cohen Cook, and he based that on the powerful prophecy of Isaiah, that among other things, in this ideal time, the wolf will dwell with the lamb, the lion will stalk the ox, and no one shall hurt nor destroy in all of God's holy mountain. And I make the case, I read it to rabbis in terms of what's kosher, there's technical things there, but very important that animal-based diets and agriculture today violate at least 6 very, very basic Jewish ideals, teachings, values, mandates, and these are very quickly mandates to take care of our health, to treat animals with compassion, to be co-workers with God in protecting the environment, in conserving natural resources, in helping hungry people, and seeking and pursuing peace. So, as you say, we've gone astray. We have these powerful teachings, but we're not, God forbid, trying to start a new religion. We're trying to say Judaism has wonderful teachings, and all religions are based on compassion, but the question is, can we put them into practice today?
So meat really isn't kosher. Fur isn't kosher, right? It's not right to wear fur. And how did religion go astray? I mean, every year so many animals suffer in sacrifice for Judaism, for Islam. It seems so ungodly that there be such animal sacrifices. How did they come to be?
Yeah, well, actually, in biblical times, that was a common mode of worship. We've evolved, but actually the biblical sacrifices were actually a step forward in that before that they had child sacrifices, a lot of pagan, very cruel practices. So this, according to the great Jewish philosopher Maimonides, he indicated that the sacrifices were really a concession to the primitive conditions of the times, that if they tried to get beyond that it might have been rejected. You know, it's almost like somebody coming to the synagogue today and saying, God doesn't need our prayers so much, you know, be kind. Imagine if every person was kind to everybody else, if there was tolerance, there was harmony, there was peace, and nobody prayed to God, I think God would find that better. But to go into, you know, people are just not ready for that, unfortunately, as we know, with all the violence and injustice today. So the thing is, with the sacrifices, they were kept in one central location. A person couldn't say, you know, I think I'll make a sacrifice in my own home or backyard, in effect. So one central location with the idea of weaning the people off of these sacrifices. And, of course, the biblical prophets, like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Amos, Micah, all pointed out that God's primary concern was compassion, justice, etc. And as a matter of fact, the sacrifices could be an abomination to God if not carried out along with acts of justice and compassion. And it's a very powerful prophecy that's going to be read in all synagogues before the holiday of Tisha B'Av that commemorates the destruction of the temples. And so on this Sabbath, they'll be reading the powerful prophecy of Isaiah, who indicates that a sacrifice can be abomination, points out your hands are full of blood. In effect, they did have them. And
so it's a primitive abomination. And when we look at it today, of course, it looks that way because that's what it is. And also there's a particular Jewish custom that seems to remain an abomination. What is that called again? Kapara?
Kaparis. Kaparo, depending in Hebrew or whatever. Okay, yeah. By the way, I just want to point out, I hope everybody listening, first of all, if you want to contact me and get more information, please contact me at president at one word, Jewish followed by VEG.com, president at jewishveg.com, and I can send you the press release we're hoping to send out tomorrow to really get this underway. And I hope that everybody here will contact your rabbi, if not, contact Jewish friends. We want to really get this message out there that it's time to really apply the highest of Jewish values and the highest values of every single religion. Now, the thing you mentioned, that kaparis, that is a ritual somewhat like the sacrifices carried out between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, so it's only a month or two away. And that involves swinging a chicken and reciting a certain saying that, in effect...
That's swinging a chicken around your head?
Around your head, around the top of one's head. But fortunately, by the way, there is a replacement for that, which is the use of money, which, of course, is also, asking for God's compassion, and it's hard to do that when we're not being compassionate. So I have an article, and by the way, I have an article on this, and it's also in that book you mentioned, in the appendix, Who Stole My Religion. So I have 150 articles at Jewish Veg, Jewish VEG, again, one word, .com/Schwartz. And my entire book, Judaism and Vegetarianism, can be read freely at that website.
So the sacrifice of the chicken can easily be replaced by making a donation of money to, an organization that helps fight hunger? Is that
absolutely? Yep. And there's the same thing. There's a ritual related to that, and that's in the various sitters or prayer books, so that we're working on that.
Okay, so I might again suggest, if I might be so selfish here, and we're going to take a break in a moment, Richard, but we'll continue because I know you want to talk about reestablishing the ancient Jewish holiday, and we got a little off track here, but not really because it's also fascinating. So if one wanted to, be more moral and not swing a chicken around one's head and make a donation to those who fight hunger, you can make that donation to Go Vegan Radio, because this show promotes veganism, which is the key to ending world hunger. So, so you make your check payable to Go Vegan Radio, P.O. Box 475414, San Francisco 94147, or click donate at goveganradio.com. It is obviously the religious thing to do.
Sure. Can they still get a free copy of my book if they donate a certain amount?
Yes, you know what? Donate $100. Right now, donate $100, and we have we do have a number of copies still remaining of Richard's book. So every donation of $100, I will send you a copy of Who Stole My Religion. It's really a fascinating book. We need to take a break right now. Richard will continue with Richard Schwartz, who is enlisting Go Vegan Radio to help establish an ancient Jewish holiday, which now we want as dedication to compassion for animals. So we will continue on Go Vegan Radio with Bob Linden. Okay, so we're talking to Professor Richard Schwartz. He is the president of Jewish Vegetarians of North America. And Richard got in touch with me and said, Bob, we want you to help publicize that we're trying to revitalize an ancient Jewish holiday. So who's supporting this? What's the momentum behind it? And when is it? And what's going to be part of it? What's it called, Richard, the holiday?
Okay, in effect, it's going to be called like a Rosh Hashanah, the Behemoth, which is a new year for animals. It turns out there are 4 different New Years in the Jewish tradition, and of course we're all familiar with Rosh Hashanah. It becomes before Yom Kippur, that's a major holiday. There's another one, Tu B'Shvat, which is like New Year for trees, and that also was dead for many years, and that was revitalized, and now it's becoming very popular. And it's sort of like a Jewish Earth Day kind of thing. So we're trying, in that tradition, we're trying to revitalize this, and thank God, it's actually an idea that's less than a week old. So, and the enthusiasm I'm getting, and I've got Orthodox and Reform rabbis, all kinds of rabbis and other supporters, one person who's very strong on sustainability. So it's starting to spread, and it turns out it's the first day of the Hebrew month of Elul, which this year starts on the evening of August 18th and then until sunset at August 19th. And, it's something like a project that's being developed. So as we go on, we expect more and more. But we are hoping, just as with Passover and that Tu B'Shvat, the New Year for trees, to have some kind of Seder, to have people get together and perhaps share songs about animals, quotations about animals, Divrei Torah or words of Torah about animals. Again, Judaism teaches that God's compassion is over all his works, of course, including animals. The book of Proverbs indicates that the righteous individual in Judaism considers the life of his animals. The greatest Jewish heroes, Moses and King David, according to the Jewish tradition, were chosen for compassion for animals. So there's a lot of powerful teachings. Judaism even teaches that if you have a pet, for example, before you can sit down to your own meal, you have to make sure that the needs of your animals have been met. And in the Torah it says you can't yoke a strong and a weak animal, you can't muzzle an animal while threshing in the field. Many, many, many teachings, so we want to bring these out.
And thou shalt not kill is probably a good teaching to remember concerning animals, too. So this is the Jewish New Year for animals. Right. And I see Dr. Gabriel Cousins, and you have a number of rabbis, influential rabbis who are supportive.
We're building up a list. So far we have maybe about 10 or so, but as I say, it's just getting off the ground, and we hope to continue, but it is just a little less than a month away, so that's why I'm so happy to be on this program to get things started. And just to tie in, you mentioned thou shalt not kill. It's real translation, thou shalt not murder, because, if you said thou shalt not kill, then you'd have to be a pacifist. Even if you were attacked, you couldn't defend yourself and all. So thou shalt not murder, but I interpret that as thou shalt not kill unnecessarily, just for any reason. And, of course, as you well know, we certainly do not have to kill animals for food. It's just the negative health effects, the negative effects on the environment. I call it madness and sheer insanity. With all the hunger in the world, we're feeding grain to animals. With all the thirst in the world, you need a tremendous amount of water. And as you know, more than half the U.S. now is in a state of drought. Mm-hmm. So madness
right, in a state of drought. And, a vegan needs 10,000 gallons of water to grow his or her food in a year, and a flesh eater needs 320,000 gallons of water. So by being vegan, you save over 300,000 gallons of water, or 32 vegans can be fed to one meat eater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as I say, madness and sheer insanity, because so many areas are faced with water shortages. And, I see on TV farmers that are like desperate. Their corn crop is being destroyed almost, and they're praying for rain, and it's coming in some areas in buckets, and in other areas we have droughts, and this is why I say it, but more important, the experts are saying it. We're heading toward a climate catastrophe. We've got to do everything possible, and as you well know, one of the main contributors to climate change is the animal-based diets, all the methane belched by the animals, etc., or the manure, and we're destroying tropical rainforests, burning them down, and that gives off CO2. Mm-hmm. And as I think you mentioned,
yeah. So but getting back to your the Jewish New Year for animals, and what is it called again? It's
Rosh Hashanah La Behemoth. So the word Behemoth means animals. So, so La Behemoth is like for the animals. And even that, to tell you the truth, we're sort of wrestling with exactly the best terminology. I have an expert going back to the Mishnah or the Talmud to see the words they use there. So it's really in process, but
and you talked about having a Seder, like a Passover Seder, and of course that day everybody would be urged to eat vegan.
Oh, of course.
The way the Bible says to eat.
Yeah, the vegan Seder would be strictly vegetarian, preferably vegan. And again, there's so much in the Jewish tradition, to bring out what Judaism teaches and to say, how do we apply it? And the fate of humanity really depends on this, as you know, because we hear the reports every day of droughts, heat waves, unbelievable floods in some areas.
So, Richard, tell us how people can become involved with the new ancient Jewish holiday for animals.
Right. We're working on setting up a website, but that's in process. So for the time being, the best thing is if they contact me at president at Jewish, followed by VEG, one word.com, and then I'll be happy to send out our press release about this. And if you stay tuned, and I hope to get the word out more and more, I'm going to be sending a press release to the media. And already there's a lot of excitement, thinking things are happening, because we have to challenge the Jewish establishment, and as a beginning, and hopefully that will reach out to other religions. They're all based on compassion, and it's God's world, our world, that's being threatened so much. So it's not 50 years from now, 100 years from now. It's right now. We have to start every day. And I hope every person listening to this will go to their rabbi, minister, priest, imam, will write letters to editors and point out that this is our future. If we want a decent world for our children and grandchildren, we have to go have vegan. A vegan world and do many other things to avert the coming catastrophes and move our precious planet to a sustainable path.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richard Schwartz, for being on Go Vegan Radio with Bob Linden. Again, his latest book is Who Stole My Religion? And you make a donation of $100 or more. Click donate at goveganradio.com, and I will send you a copy of the book from Dr. Schwartz. Thanks for being with us today, Richard.